Have you ever wondered what it would be like to take a chance on something completely outside your comfort zone? Well, that's exactly what I did this holiday season. For my first attempt at trying something new, I didn't go with anything too wild or too intimidating. I started with a seasonal job, working as a UPS driver helper. It's a job that opens up during the holidays to help drivers deliver the massive influx of packages. Simple enough, right? But little did I know, even this low bar to entry job would turn into quite the experience. Get ready. I'm taking you on a behind-the-scenes look of what it's like to work as a UPS driver helper, the unexpected challenges, the lessons learned, and everything in between. But before we dive in, let me just say this. The thoughts, opinions, and experiences that I share are entirely my own and not officially endorsed by UPS. So please, UPS, no lawsuits, okay? Just enjoy the story. At its core, this job can be summed up in a few key phrases. Pick a box up, set a box down. And also, every day is leg day at UPS, but more on that later. So while that's mostly true, there's more to it than meets the eye. Let's break it down and dive into what it's really like in this position. So to start off with, why did I pick this job? What's the appeal? Well, I wanted to step out of my routine and experience something completely different, and I figured why not start small? This job seemed like the perfect opportunity to test the waters of trying something new while earning some extra cash, $21 an hour to be more precise. So, what's the appeal? Well, flexibility during the holiday season. You get to decide when you want to work. No experience required. A chance to work outdoors and get some exercise and fresh air. Basically, it's a paid workout, and we'll come back to that more later. So, the first part of the process, the application process, is about as easy as it gets for any job. Fill out an online form, and I'll include a link in the description below. Meet some very basic physical requirements, and assuming you're in the clear after the background check, you'll know you're hired within minutes. No lengthy interviews or tricky questions, just click, apply, and wait for the green light. So why a background check, you might be thinking? Well, it's pretty simple. They just want to make sure that you're trustworthy enough to handle delivering packages from point A to B, and not, say, your living room. Once you're in, it's time to tackle the paperwork. After you fill out the online forms, trust me, you're going to want to fill out all the tax forms online early. It's going to save you a ton of time at the hub, and then you're on to onboarding. And while you might expect a whole day of training, or at least a welcome to the team video, the reality is quite different. You'll show up at the hub, you'll sign some more forms, you'll meet the dispatch team, and then you're handed your safety vest. No training classes, no safety video, just forms and a vest. Welcome aboard. This process, depending on how big your group is, take anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half. And then, just like that, you're out the door and probably with more questions than answers. And the answers? Well, they come slowly over time. At first, you'll get a series of emails explaining how to log into the company portal. And heads up, don't expect anything flashy. The instructions leave a lot to be desired, and the website looks like it time traveled from the early 2000s. Well, once you finally struggle through it and manage to log in the portal, you'll get some links to training videos. And these cover the basics, but don't expect to walk away feeling like you know everything. There's no deep dive. There's just enough info to get by, but not really enough to feel fully confident about this position. So the idea is that the driver is going to teach you everything you need to know. And that's essentially true. So great. You made it through the hiring and onboarding process, and now you're ready to work. Or are you? At this point, you realize you don't really know what to expect. What things to bring, how hard is it going to be, because so far, no one has explained any of this to you. Your first day arrives, and they'll pair you with a driver, and here's the thing. How easy or how hard your first day is, and subsequent days are, will depend on a lot of factors. Things that include your level of physical fitness, the route they assign you, your driver, how well your driver is organized, how well is the truck organized, how well does your driver know his route, the manner in which he chooses to use you, your own ability to effectively manage your energy levels throughout the day. Also, the weather can also affect how good a day you have. So to look at these one by one, first and foremost, the biggest part of this job is the level of physical activity. A typical shift can run anywhere from 4 to 8 hours or more, and a route might have anywhere between 150 and 200 stops. That means you'll be walking anywhere from 4 to 7 miles a day. And if it was just flat ground, that might not be so bad, but here's the catch. Your route could involve navigating 2- and 3-story buildings without elevators, long dirt roads to country homes, steep driveways in the hills, and pretty much everything in between. So, those 4 to 7 miles can quickly become a full-body workout, especially if you're carrying a 50-pound box. Not to mention the several hundred times you're going to be getting in and out of the truck during your shift. Plus, depending on your driver, putting on and taking off your seatbelt a few hundred times per your shift. So figuring out ways to minimize repetitive motions are critical. Every motion you perform throughout the day adds up during the course of your shift, so less is definitely more. I found that pivoting when putting down a package or getting in and out of the truck helps a lot to reduce repetitive motion. Next, how easy or hard your day is going to be will also largely depend on 2 key factors: how well the truck is organized and how well your driver knows his route. If your driver is experienced with his route and has solid organizational skills, your day can flow pretty easily. However, if the truck is a mess, or if the driver is unfamiliar with the area, your day can quickly devolve into a frustrating game of hunt and peck for both you and the driver to find each stop. Another major factor is how the driver chooses to use you. According to the company, a driver is never supposed to ask you to do something that he would not do himself, but in reality, this doesn't always hold true. Some drivers will pace the workload carefully, ensuring that you never burn out. Others, well, some drivers will see this as an opportunity to do less work, pushing you hard and making it difficult for you to manage your energy levels throughout the day. Some drivers will only ask you to carry a box from point A to point B. Some drivers will ask you to collect signatures, help them sort the truck, look for lost packages, and whatever else they deem necessary. It's all at the driver's discretion and the relationship the two of you have. So, getting back to your energy levels, managing them is absolutely critical. With a full workday ahead of you, often over varying terrain, being able to pace yourself and refuel with snacks at regular intervals is key being able to surviving and thriving in this job. And finally, the weather is also going to play a huge role in how challenging this job feels. I live in a desert climate with little rain, so I'm lucky that most days are pretty dry and relatively pleasant. That being said, it still gets really cold at night, so layering properly and bringing the right equipment is an absolute must. So now that you have an idea of what this position entails, let's talk about gear. While the company website provides some basic suggestions, there are several items that are going to make your life infinitely better during the course of this job. Starting with the most important piece of equipment, your footwear. Comfortable shoes are non-negotiable. You're going to be walking 4 to 7 miles a day or more. And while the company might recommend boots, I learned the hard way that they are really not ideal for walking and stair climbing. So instead, invest in a great pair of walking shoes or running shoes. And no matter how comfortable you think your shoes are, spend an extra $20, go to Walmart, and get yourself a pair of super comfy padded insoles and drop them in. Trust me, they're lifesavers. I can't say this enough times. Dress in layers. If it's hot, start with short sleeves, or if it's cold, start with long sleeves, and build up from there. Layering is absolutely the key to staying warm in this job, so bring a lightweight jacket, bring a sweater, or maybe both. Also, A hat is a super critical item as well. It's going to protect you from the sun, it's going to keep the hair out of your face while you're riding around in the truck. It's just an essential piece of gear that you absolutely must have. Now, this next tip, it's mostly for the guys, but it could apply to women too. You're going to be bending over a lot. I mean a lot. Hundreds of times a day. I've found that going commando actually saves an enormous amount of time from having to readjust clothing from going places it shouldn't be going. So I know that sounds funky, but trust me, it works. Alright, moving on. Get a pair of the grippy work gloves from either Home Depot or Walmart. They will save your hands from the wear and tear of constant lifting and carrying, and your hands are definitely going to get banged up if you do not protect them. Other essentials include a water bottle, a flashlight, and easy-to-eat snacks. Sliced fruit, like apples, power bars, travel-sized bags of chips, crackers are all great options to keep your energy levels up throughout the day. So for my own backpack, in addition to the above mentioned items, I also add Band-Aid, hand sanitizer, ibuprofen, a small hand towel, and yes, an empty water bottle. Why an empty water bottle, you might be asking? Well, when nature calls, it doesn't always align with your route. So circling back to hydration, it's important to hydrate, but it's also important to manage your intake of water because you need to properly manage your restroom trips. One final important thing to touch on, it's highly probable that depending on where you live and what time it gets dark, you're going to be doing a large portion of your shift at night. Full disclosure, this job becomes infinitely more difficult after dark. If you thought it was hard to read curb numbers or partially hidden house numbers during the daytime, just wait until you have to locate them at night without a flashlight. So after dark, a flashlight becomes your best friend. I like to use a clip-on flashlight that I can attach to my vest and swing it around in a circular pattern to create a distraction when crossing the street, or shine it directly into an oncoming car, so that they definitely have to take notice of it. Always be extra cautious at night. Dogs, cars, people, all take on a different personality after dark, so the life you save may be your own. So, to the 64K question, is this the right job for you? Well, if you're comfortable with a lot of physical activity, enjoy being outdoors, and like the idea of basically getting paid to exercise, then this role does have its perks. It's also a job with a pretty straightforward application process and no extensive qualifications, making it accessible to just about everyone. However, if the physical demands or the thought of having to deal with different personalities seem like obstacles to you, then this might not be the right fit for you. This job also requires you to be flexible in your scheduling, as they will often call you on short notice based on their load requirements, so take that into consideration as well. So looking back, this job taught me how complex the process is of getting a package from point A to point B. There is an enormous amount of work to get a package from the shipper to the receiver that people just don't see. And while it may not have been the most exciting job that I've ever had, it did definitely deliver on what it promised, which was a hard day's work for a decent pay. So what do you think? Do you think being a UPS driver helper is the right job for you? Leave a comment below.